You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Challenge us at Wexford Insurances 0818 31 30 30.
Good morning, I'm Karl Fitzpatrick and it's business time here on Southeast Radio. Welcome to this week's edition of Business Matters. You can follow me on Twitter at Karl Fitzpatrick or visit karlfitzpatrick.ie. Let's get straight down to business. On this week's agenda, I'll be speaking to the Irish Honorary Consulate in Nigeria about potential business opportunities there for Irish companies. Author Carmel Harrington drops by to provide her advice to those of you considering writing a book. And Tom Burns of funpacks.ie tells us how the smoking ban created the seed of a business opportunity for him. If there's any particular topic you would like to hear covered on the show, feel free to email the details to businessmatters@southeastradio.ie. Joining me now in studio is Connie Guilfoyle, the Irish Honorary Consulate in Nigeria. Connie, you're originally from Tipperary. What led you to Nigeria?
Well, Carl, I've been out there now over a decade. I'm in year number 11, actually. Prior to that, I lived and worked in New Zealand for a while and married a New Zealand girl. Anyway, I was looking for an expatriate posting over 10 years ago, and one thing led to another, and I ended up in West Africa, working for an international company at the time. And as with those positions in that environment, you tend to go there for 1 or 2 years, and I've probably overstayed, you could say.
And what are you doing out there now yourself?
Well, what I do is I run a business, a building services contracting company, and this is what my main bread and butter comes from. We do air conditioning, electrical, sprinklers, that type of thing. That's what I used to do in Ireland all those years ago, and in New Zealand since then. And then I run the consulate office in Lagos as the Honorary Consul for Ireland, which is a part-time role, basically, that I do from day to day there as well.
Okay, tell me what's involved in the consulate role?
Well, the primary focus of the consulate role would be to assist Irish nationals, Irish citizens in distress, perhaps, or should they find themselves in a difficult situation, or any advice they might need from passport renewal right through to helping them if they run into any trouble out there. That's the main driving force. Of course, as we know now, it's the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, so there's a bigger push and emphasis on trade through the Department of Foreign Affairs that I'm seeing since I joined as the Honorary Consul.
And tell me, is there many opportunities out there for Irish companies to explore in Nigeria?
Look, Nigeria is a very big, potentially huge market in a ever-growing economy. Enterprise Ireland put quite a focus on Africa and Nigeria as part of their African Goals strategy, which they rolled out, I believe, in 2011. So we're seeing more and more drive towards bringing and introducing Irish companies to the Nigerian market. There's a huge amount of opportunities there. Identifying the correct ones for the expertise of Ireland is a key part of what we're trying to do with Enterprise Ireland, and to link people up together where they can benefit both parties.
Okay, and from the perspective of if you were to look at individual industries and sectors, is there any ones that stand out over the rest? Let's say, for instance, for Irish companies to look at exploring opportunities in?
There is, there's a lot of talk in the IT and the e-learning, vocational education. There's a big void out there for that, and we believe that Ireland has a lot to offer in that market. Construction, we're seeing a lot of Irish construction companies, more and more coming out there as well, both in civils and commercial buildings. That's a market that is already being explored by quite a few people. Agriculture as well, but that's more long term. Then there are some of the bigger Irish companies that are involved in manufacturing out there. Glanbia have an arm out there producing milk goods, etc. Pharmaceutical and IT are probably two potentially strong areas as well.
And for any company operating, let's say, in the southeast of Ireland that would be interested in finding out more about these opportunities, what should they do next?
I think, Nigeria and getting in there is very difficult. There's a lot of barriers to entry. People need to be very careful as to how they approach it. I would say, depending on the size of the company, but Enterprise Ireland are putting together a focus group and trying to link up business to business opportunities where they can. There is something coming up in late May, I believe, this year in Dublin, where Enterprise Ireland are hosting a forum to help companies who might be interested going out there. And it's very important and key that you get the right information and that you link up with the right partnership if you are going to invest some time and money into West Africa.
Can the Nigerian embassy in Ireland be of much assistance to Irish companies in doing so?
I'm not sure that the Nigerian embassy, that would be a key part of their role. Most embassies are not involved in trade. However, I'm sure they will encourage it to some degree. I'm not able to answer that question for sure. I don't know what their agenda is on that, but I do know Enterprise Ireland certainly are putting a focus on Africa and West Africa.
Okay, there are a number of myths out there about doing business in Nigeria. I'm sure you'll have heard of all of these before. Let's start off with the first one being risk of not getting paid. What would you say to that?
I would say that in my own experience, where I've been running a private contracting company now for 10 years, the format out there, we deal only with the private industry, so we don't deal with government. But even when you do deal with government, 99.9% of contracts are funded with an advance payment. That advance payment, of course, is married with a bank guarantee bond to protect the client. But cash flow shouldn't be an issue, certainly not like you would expect and see in the Western world. So you should be receiving payment up front. Very, very little product is sold or services rendered without an advance payment unless you have a long, well-established relationship.
Another consideration people would have going out there is the security risk. How dangerous is it?
Look, there is security risks. It's anybody going out there, it's a third world environment. You need to be aware of that. It's not like going traveling anywhere in Europe. There's a lot of people, 160 million people plus. There's a lot of people living below the poverty line. There's a lot of disease. There is security risks. Let there be no doubt. Again, the embassies do tend to post information on that and can advise where people should or shouldn't travel. And one needs to be very careful that they're not travelling to the wrong areas, mainly outside the commercial hubs, unless you know where it is you're actually going specifically to. But again, you'll probably get most of that, I would think, from the embassies. Then on a bigger scale, there are private security companies that will do vetting and security risks on a much larger corporate level.
Okay, and how about on the health side? If somebody was to go out there working and they got ill, what's the treatment and what are the hospital facilities like out there?
Well, the public hospitals are not something you'd want to be attending. I would say you need to have private medical care. You need to have insurance, medical insurance that will allow for evacuation or repatriation if you're involved in an accident or something serious. High-level medical expertise, you most likely want to be getting back on a plane and getting out of the country if you can. Having said that, there are private medical facilities there, and most of the big insurance companies do provide insurance that will cover you in the private medical hospitals out there. Of course, you will only find those hospitals in the big commercial hubs as well. So if you're outside Lagos or Abuja, the facilities aren't going to be there, even if you have all the insurance in the world.
Connie, is there any Irish business network operating within Nigeria at present?
There isn't an official business network in Nigeria. There was one some years ago which dwindled out, but there is a drive of late to form an Irish business network, and that group is in its infancy. But I think we will see something being rolled out there in the coming months, and hopefully, actually, possibly, maybe a trade mission or something like that to help boost the whole thing. Maybe by the end of this year or before the end of 2013.
Connie, many thanks for coming in and speaking to us this morning and providing our listeners with an insight into doing business in Nigeria. We're going to take a quick commercial break now, but when we come back, I'll be speaking to local author Carmel Harrington, who is going to tell us about her recent award win, along with providing advice to those of you interested in becoming an author. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Think Wexford Insurances for your business insurance.